The endless void of space was shattered by the flash of energy weapons. Thousands of warships, their dark hulls reflecting the light of distant stars, hung in a menacing formation above the beautiful blue-green world of New Haven. The planet's once pristine rings, famous throughout the galaxy for their stunning purple crystalline formations, were now choked with debris from destroyed ships and orbital platforms. Admiral Daho stood motionless on the bridge of his flagship, the Emperor's wrath his hands clasped behind his back as he observed the systematic destruction of the Asteri civilization's last line of defense. His cold eyes tracked the movement of his fleet as they methodically targeted and eliminated any remaining resistance in orbit. "Status report," he commanded, his voice carrying no emotion despite the genocide he was orchestrating. "The enemy's orbital defense grid is at 12% capacity, Admiral," his second-in-command reported. "Their remaining military vessels are either destroyed or disabled. Civilian casualties are mounting as their ground shields continue to fail." Daho nodded slightly, satisfaction evident in his tight smile. The Rith Empire had spent decades building their military might, and now they were demonstrating why they were feared across this sector of space. The Asteri, for all their advanced medical knowledge and peaceful achievements, had proven to be disappointingly easy prey. "Continue the bombardment," he ordered. "I want their shield grid completely destroyed by nightfall. No survivors this time. The Emperor wants this world as our new colony." Below, on the surface of New Haven, the situation was growing desperate. General Jayun of the Asteri Defense Force stood in the central command bunker, buried deep beneath the capital city. The underground chamber buzzed with frantic activity as military personnel rushed between monitoring stations, trying desperately to coordinate what remained of their defenses. The general's hands trembled as she studied the holographic display, showing the steady deterioration of their planetary shield grid. Each impact from the Rith weapons caused another section to flicker and die, leaving their cities exposed to orbital bombardment. The beautiful crystal spires of their architecture, once reaching proudly toward the stars, were being reduced to rubble. "General," a young officer called out, his voice cracking with stress, "the Eastern Shield generator has just failed. We're losing coverage over the agricultural districts." Jayun closed her eyes briefly, fighting back tears of frustration. The Asteri had always been a peaceful species, focusing their technological development on medicine, art, and exploration. Their defensive capabilities had been an afterthought, designed mainly to protect against natural disasters and space debris. They had never imagined facing an enemy as ruthless as the Rith. "How many civilians have made it to the bunkers?" she asked, dreading the answer. "Approximately 60% of the population, General. The rest." The officer's voice trailed off. Jayun's heart ached. Millions of her people were still trying to reach safety, but the Rith bombardment was making evacuation increasingly difficult. The underground shelters were vast, but they weren't designed to house the entire population indefinitely. "General," another officer approached, holding a datapad. "We've just lost contact with the Southern Defense Command. The entire region is dark." Jayun straightened her shoulders, making a decision that she knew might be their last hope. She walked to the central communications console and placed her hand on the biometric scanner. The system recognized her authority and activated. "This is General Jayun of the Asteri Defense Force," she began, her voice steady despite her fear. "To any civilized species who can hear this transmission, we need help. The Rith Empire is destroying our world. We are a peaceful people. We have no weapons that can stop them. Millions of innocent civilians will die without intervention." She paused, watching as the message was broadcast on all available frequencies, encoded with their coordinates and situation data. "Please," she added, her professional demeanor cracking slightly. "We have children here, families. We've never harmed anyone. Anyone, please help us." As the message began repeating on an automated loop, Jayun turned back to her staff. They looked at her with a mixture of hope and desperation. She couldn't tell them that such distress calls rarely received responses. The galaxy was vast, and most species were too afraid of the Rith Empire to challenge them directly. The bunker shook as another bombardment struck nearby, sending dust falling from the ceiling. Warning signals flashed across multiple screens as another section of their shield grid failed. Through it all, Jai Yun maintained her composure, though inside she was screaming. "Maintain evacuation protocols," she ordered. "Divert all remaining power to the shields protecting the civilian bunkers. We hold as long as we can." High above, Admiral Deho watched with satisfaction as another section of the planetary shields collapsed. He had conquered 11 worlds before this one, and none had lasted more than a few days against his fleet. The Asteri had managed to resist for 3 weeks, which was mildly impressive for such a weak species. "Sir," his communications officer interrupted his thoughts. "We've detected a transmission from the surface. They're broadcasting a distress signal." Deho laughed, the sound echoing across the bridge. "Let them call for help. By the time anyone receives their message, this world will be ours, and its people will be nothing but a memory." The Admiral turned back to the viewport, watching as his ships continued their relentless assault on the dying world below. None of them noticed the distress signal as it raced through space, carrying the desperate hopes of a civilization on the brink of extinction. Nor did they know that soon, this signal would bring a response that would change the galaxy forever. The massive holographic display dominated the center of Earth's United Fleet Command war room, its blue light casting eerie shadows across the faces of assembled officers. Admiral Taiwan stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his weathered face illuminated by the rotating display of the distress signal's origin point. "Play it again," he ordered, his voice quiet but carrying the weight of command. The room fell silent as General Jai Yun's desperate message echoed through the chamber for the 5th time. The signal had taken 3 days to reach Earth, traveling across vast stretches of space. 3 days during which the Asteri continued to suffer under the Rith Empire's relentless assault. Intelligence Officer Yuna stepped forward, her uniform crisp and her expression grave as she manipulated the holographic controls. "Sir, our analysis of the signal is complete," she reported, bringing up additional data streams. The coordinates matched the New Haven system, home of the Asteri civilization. They're approximately 60 light-years from our nearest fleet position. Taiwan nodded slowly, his eyes never leaving the tactical display. "Tell me about these Asteri. What do we know about them?" Yun-A's fingers danced across her datapad, bringing up images of tall, elegant beings with silvery skin and large, expressive eyes. The Asteri are primarily known as peaceful researchers and scientists. Their medical technologies are among the most advanced we've encountered. Last year alone, they freely shared breakthroughs that helped us cure 3 previously terminal human diseases. "And their attackers?" Taiwan asked, though he already knew the answer. The hologram shifted, showing dark, aggressive-looking warships. "The Rith Empire." Yuna's voice hardened. "They'd been expanding aggressively for the past decade. Our intelligence indicates they've conquered 12 civilizations during that time. None of the conquered worlds have been heard from since." Another officer spoke up from the back of the room. "Admiral, the Rith Empire has shown no hostile intentions toward Earth or our colonies. Intervening could change that." Taiwan turned slowly, fixing the speaker with a steady gaze. "And how long before they do turn their eyes toward us, Commander? How many more peaceful worlds must fall while we watch from safety?" The Admiral walked around the holographic display, studying it from all angles. "Show me the status of our fleets." New data appeared, showing the positions of Earth's naval forces. The 7th Fleet, humanity's most advanced battle group, was highlighted in green. 25 ships of the line, each carrying technology that had been developed and refined since humanity's own brush with extinction decades ago. "The 7th Fleet can reach New Haven in 4 days using our advanced quantum drives," Yuna reported. "That's assuming we push the engines to maximum sustainable output." Taiwan's eyes narrowed as he calculated distances and possibilities in his head. and the Rith Empire's military response time. Based on their known technology, their nearest reinforcements would take at least 2 weeks to reach New Haven. They rely on older forms of faster-than-light travel. The Admiral nodded slowly, a plan forming in his mind. Humanity had kept many of their technological advances secret, letting the galaxy believe they were just another emerging spacefaring race. The Rith Empire had no idea what they would be facing if they chose to fight. The Asteri helped us save millions of human lives with their medical knowledge, Ta said, his voice carrying across the room. They asked for nothing in return except friendship. Now they need our help. He straightened, making his decision. Intelligence Officer Yuna, prepare a full tactical briefing on the Rith Empire's capabilities. I want it ready in 1 hour. Yes, Admiral, Yuna responded crisply. Taiwan turned to his communications officer. Send word to the 7th Fleet. Priority Alpha. They are to make ready for immediate departure. The war room burst into activity as officers rushed to carry out their orders. Taiwan remained still, watching the holographic display of the Asteri distress signal. He thought about all the times in human history when people had stood by while atrocities were committed, too afraid to act. Not this time, he whispered to himself. Then, louder, this is the moment that defines us. Not just as a military force, but as a species. The galaxy needs to know that humanity stands ready to protect those who cannot protect themselves. He turned to address the room one final time. Send word to the 7th Fleet. Their orders are simple. Proceed to the New Haven system at maximum speed. Engage and destroy any Rith Empire forces threatening the Asteri civilization. Show them why humanity's friendship is valuable and our enmity is to be feared. As the officers rushed to transmit his orders, Taiwan watched the distress signal play one final time. General Jai-Yun's desperate plea echoed through the chamber. Someone, anyone, please help us. Help is coming, he promised the recording. And the Rith Empire is about to learn that humanity protects its friends. The war room emptied as officers hurried to their stations, preparing for humanity's first major military intervention in galactic affairs. Soon, the 7th Fleet would show the galaxy why Earth had remained independent despite the growing shadow of the Rith Empire. The time for watching from the sidelines was over. Humanity was going to war. Hyperspace stretched endlessly around the UES Invincible, its swirling colors casting strange shadows across the bridge. 25 warships of Earth's 7th Fleet carved through the quantum realm like arrows, their massive engines pushing the boundaries of known physics. Each vessel was a masterpiece of human engineering, a testament to how far humanity had come since the dark days of the Crimson War. Captain Minki stood at the center of the Invincible's bridge, his experienced eyes scanning the tactical displays. The quantum wake of his fleet created patterns in hyperspace that no other known civilization could achieve or even detect. It was one of many advantages humanity had developed in the aftermath of their near extinction. Engineering reports quantum drive efficiency at 98%. Captain, Lieutenant Song called out from his station. We're maintaining formation with the rest of the fleet. Min Ki nodded, remembering the first time he'd seen a quantum drive in action. He had been a young cadet then, just after the Crimson War, when humanity's survival had hung by a thread. The aliens who had attacked Earth had expected an easy victory. Instead, they had awakened something in the human spirit, a determination that transformed humanity from prey to predator. Display tactical overlay of the New Haven system, Min Ki ordered. A holographic map materialized in front of him, showing the latest intelligence data on the Rith Empire's fleet positions. 3,000 enemy ships against their 25. 30 years ago, such odds would have been suicide. Now, they brought a grim smile to his face. XO Hanul approached, her footsteps barely audible over the gentle hum of the bridge systems. The crew is ready, sir. Combat simulations show we can engage the entire Rith fleet with minimal risk to our ships. The simulations don't account for everything, XO, Min Ki replied, though he appreciated her confidence. I was there during the Crimson War. I saw what overconfidence cost us in those early battles. The memories flooded back, Earth's orbital defenses crumbling, cities burning, millions dead in the first wave of attacks. But humanity had refused to break. Instead, they had adapted, evolved, and ultimately emerged stronger than anyone could have imagined. "Tell me about your grandfather, Haenul," Min-Ki said softly, his eyes still fixed on the tactical display. "He fought in the Crimson War, didn't he?" Haenul straightened, pride evident in her voice. "Yes, sir. He commanded one of the last conventional warships during the Battle of Luna. When their weapons proved ineffective against the alien shields, he ordered his ship to ram the enemy flagship. The impact created a weakness that our remaining forces exploited to turn the tide." Min-Ki nodded. "I remember that battle. Your grandfather's sacrifice gave our scientists the time they needed to develop the first quantum weapons. Now we carry his legacy forward." The bridge crew worked quietly at their stations, each focused on their duties as the fleet hurtled through hyperspace. These were humanity's finest, selected from billions to crew the most advanced ships ever built. Every officer and crew member had earned their place through merit and dedication. "Weapons check," Min-Ki ordered, beginning the standard pre-battle protocol. "Quantum torpedoes primed and ready," the weapons officer reported. "Phase cannons charge. Shield penetration calculations complete for all known Wraith Empire defensive systems. Communications check. All ships reporting clear quantum-entangled channels, sir. The Wraith won't be able to detect or interrupt our communications." Min-Ki walked to the forward viewport, watching the strange patterns of hyperspace flow past. The Invincible's quantum drive allowed them to travel faster than any other known species, but these 4 days had felt like an eternity, knowing that the Asteri were suffering while they rushed to help. 5 minutes to hyperspace emergence, Haenul announced. "All ships acknowledge battle stations." The bridge lighting shifted to combat configuration. Throughout the massive warship, crews secured for battle, though their advanced inertial dampeners meant they would feel nothing of the violence to come. "Remember," Min-Ki addressed his bridge crew, "what we do today will echo across the galaxy. The Wraith Empire believes they can prey on peaceful civilizations without consequences. We're going to show them how wrong they are." The tactical officer spoke up. "Sir, quantum sensors detecting debris in the New Haven system. The Wraith bombardment continues." Min-Ki's expression hardened. He thought of the Asteri, a species that had freely shared their medical knowledge to save human lives, now facing extinction at the hands of brutal conquerors. The parallel to humanity's own past was striking. 3 minutes to emergence, Haenul reported. "All ships report combat ready." The captain returned to his command chair, settling into position as the final countdown began. Around him, the bridge crew performed their final checks with practiced efficiency. They had trained for this, prepared for this moment since the fleet's formation. "Send to all ships," Min-Ki ordered. "The Wraith Empire is about to learn why humanity survived the Crimson War. We strike hard, we strike fast, and we show no mercy to those who prey on the innocent." The quantum drive's hum reached a crescendo as the fleet prepared to return to normal space. In moments, they would emerge into a war zone, bringing humanity's most advanced weapons to bear against an enemy that had no idea what was about to hit them. 1 minute to emergence, Haenul announced. "May our ancestors watch over us." Min-Ki gripped his command chair's armrests, ready to give the order that would change the galaxy forever. Prepare to show them why humanity protects its friends. Reality shimmered as 25 human warships tore through the fabric of space, emerging in perfect formation at the edge of the New Haven system. The massive vessels seemed to materialize from nothing, their quantum drives leaving no traditional FTL signatures for enemy sensors to detect. Tactical Officer Sun Mi's fingers flew across her holographic controls as sensor data flooded her station. The Wraith Empire's fleet spread out before them. 3,000 warships arranged in siege formation around the battered planet of New Haven. "Multiple contacts," she reported, her voice steady despite the overwhelming numbers facing them. I count 3,000 Rith vessels, primarily destroyer and cruiser class. Their energy signatures. She paused, double-checking her readings. Sir, their technology is at least 3 generations behind ours. Their weapons and shields are based on conventional particle physics. Captain Min-Ki nodded, studying the tactical display. The Rith ships were arranged in traditional combat formations, clearly not expecting any resistance. Their shields flickered with simple electromagnetic harmonics, nothing like the quantum-reinforced barriers protecting the human fleet. Analysis of their weapons, he asked. Standard plasma-based weaponry. Sir, their most powerful weapons wouldn't even scratch our outer shield layer. Sun's voice carried a hint of amazement. They're still using manual targeting systems. No quantum computers, no AI assistance. The bridge crew maintained their professional demeanor, but a current of confidence ran through the room. They had expected a challenging fight against a technologically advanced enemy. Instead, they faced an overwhelming force armed with outdated technology. Below, in the depths of her command bunker, General Jai-Yun stared at her sensor displays in disbelief. The Asteri's remaining detection systems had just recorded the impossible. 87 vessels appearing from nowhere, using technology that defied their understanding of physics. Can someone explain these readings? She demanded, her voice hoarse from 3 weeks of issuing evacuation orders. Those ships, they're not using any known form of faster-than-light travel. Her sensor officer shook his head, silver skin reflecting the emergency lighting. General, their energy signatures are unlike anything in our database. The power readings. He trailed off, adjusting his instruments. They're off the scale. One of their ships is generating more power than the entire Rith fleet combined. Hope, fragile but persistent, began to bloom in Jai-Yun's chest. The mysterious fleet had appeared exactly where their distress signal had been aimed. Could these be allies coming to their aid? Back on the Invincible, Min-Ki received updated tactical data from the rest of his fleet. Each human warship carried enough firepower to destroy hundreds of Rith vessels. Their quantum-based weapons would pass through the enemy's primitive shields as if they didn't exist. Sir, Communications Officer Park called out, we're picking up transmissions from the surface. The Asteri Defense Forces are still holding out in their underground bunkers, but their shields are failing. Civilian casualties are mounting. Min-Ki's expression hardened. The Rith Empire had spent 3 weeks bombarding a peaceful civilization, killing innocent civilians who had no way to fight back. It was time to show them the consequences of their actions. Signal the fleet, he ordered. Battle Formation Delta. Prepare quantum weapons, but do not fire until I give the command. Let's see how they respond to our presence first. The human warships moved with impossible grace, their formations shifting like a perfectly choreographed dance. Their quantum drives allowed them to maneuver in ways that defied conventional physics, making them appear to slide through space itself. On the Rith flagship, alarms began blaring as their sensors finally detected the new arrivals. Admiral Daho barked orders, his fleet scrambling to respond to the unexpected threat. 3,000 ships began turning, their movements clumsy compared to the fluid precision of the human fleet. Sir, Sunmai reported, the Rith fleet is moving to engage. Their weapons are charging. At their current speed, they'll be in firing range in 3 minutes. Min-Ki allowed himself a small smile. The Rith had no idea that they were already well within range of the human fleet's quantum weapons. They were about to learn that all their assumptions about space warfare were dangerously outdated. Down in her bunker, General Jai-Yun watched in amazement as the massive Rith fleet turned away from her planet to face the newcomers. For the first time in 3 weeks, no bombs fell on her cities. Whatever these mysterious ships were, they had already accomplished what seemed impossible. They had made the Rith Empire pause. Send to all ships, Min-Ki commanded, his voice carrying the weight of humanity's first major intervention in galactic affairs. Shields at maximum. Weapon systems online. Let's show the galaxy why humanity survived the Crimson War. The stage was set. 25 human warships against 3,000 Rith vessels. On paper, It looked like suicide. But as the distance closed between the two fleets, only one side truly understood what was about to happen. The galaxy was about to learn why humanity had remained independent despite the growing shadow of the Rith Empire. The time for hiding their true capabilities was over. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and they were about to make an unforgettable entrance. The silence of space was broken by a transmission that echoed across every communication frequency. Captain Min-Ki stood tall on the bridge of the UES Invincible, his voice carrying the full authority of Earth's military might. "This is Captain Min-Ki of the United Earth Fleet," he announced, the translation systems ensuring his words reached every ship in the system. "You are engaged in an illegal occupation of a sovereign world. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." The bridge crew maintained perfect discipline as they waited for a response. Tactical Officer Sun Mi monitored her displays, watching as the Rith fleet continued their clumsy repositioning. Their 3,000 ships formed an intimidating wall of steel and weaponry, but to trained eyes, their movements revealed their technological limitations. The response came swiftly. Admiral Daho's holographic image appeared above the bridge's communication console, his scared face twisted in amusement. 87 ships against 3,000. Your bravery is admirable, but foolish. His laughter echoed through the command channel, harsh and mocking. Min-Ki's expression remained neutral. The Rith Admiral couldn't see the subtle smiles that crossed the faces of the human bridge crew. Like so many others, he was counting ships instead of capabilities. "This is your final warning," Min-Ki replied calmly. "Your forces have committed war crimes against a peaceful civilization. The United Earth Fleet does not recognize your claim to this system. Withdraw, or we will remove you by force." Daho's amusement turned to anger. "You dare threaten the might of the Rith Empire? We have conquered 12 worlds in the past decade. Your pathetic fleet will become the 13th notch on our belt." Below, in her command bunker, General Jai Yun listened to the exchange with growing hope. The strange fleet's commander spoke with a confidence that seemed impossible given the odds. She had never heard of the United Earth Fleet, but something about their presence made the hair on the back of her neck stand up. "All ships, battle stations," Min-Ki ordered, his voice carrying across the quantum-entangled communication network. "Prepare to demonstrate why humanity survived the Crimson War." The human warships began powering up their weapon systems. Quantum energy coursed through their hulls, creating patterns of light that no other species had ever seen. Their shields shifted through multiple dimensions, becoming both there and not there at the same time. "Sir," Admiral Daho's second-in-command whispered urgently, "we're detecting energy readings from their ships that don't match any known weapons technology." Daho waved away the concern. "They're trying to intimidate us with light shows. 3,000 ships against 87. The math is simple." On the Invincible's bridge, Sun Mi reported, "Sir, the Rith fleet is moving into attack formation. Their weapons are charging. Traditional plasma cannons and mass drivers." Min-Ki nodded slowly. "Send to all ships. Hold position. Let them make the first move. Let's show them the difference between quantity and quality." The Rith fleet continued their advance, their formation spreading out to maximize their firing arcs. They moved with the confidence of predators who had never faced a serious challenge, who had grown used to easy victories against weaker opponents. "Your bravery has earned you a warrior's death," Daho transmitted. "Perhaps we'll keep one of your ships intact to study. It's been a while since we've had new technology to examine." Min-Ki's response was calm and measured. "Admiral Daho, I want you to understand something. We are not here to fight a battle. We are here to prevent a massacre. The only question is whether the massacre will be of the Asteri people or your fleet." Laughter erupted across the Rith command channel. Big words from a dead man. "All ships, prepare to fire. Show these fools why the Rith Empire rules this sector." The space between the fleets lit up as 3,000 Rith ships launched their opening salvo. Plasma bolts and mass driver rounds streaked across the void, a wall of destructive energy that would have annihilated any conventional fleet. Min Ki watched the incoming fire with clinical detachment. Tactical, time to impact. 15 seconds, sir, Sun Mai reported calmly. Their targeting systems are primitive. Half their shots would miss even if we didn't move. Hold position, Min Ki ordered. Let them see what they're dealing with. The Rith weapons struck the human fleet's quantum shields and simply ceased to exist. There was no explosion, no energy discharge, not even a ripple in the defensive barriers. It was as if the attacks had never happened. Silence fell across the Rith command channel as their sensors confirmed what seemed impossible. Not a single shot had penetrated the human ship's defenses. Impossible, Daho whispered, his earlier bravado evaporating. Fire again. All weapons. Min Ki shook his head sadly. We gave you a chance to withdraw. Remember that. He straightened in his command chair. All ships, prepare to engage. Show them why humanity protects its friends. The human fleet's quantum drives began to hum with power as they prepared to demonstrate just how far humanity had come since their own brush with extinction. The galaxy was about to witness a demonstration of power that would change everything. The void of space erupted in a display of power never before witnessed in the galaxy. The human fleet moved as one, their quantum drives allowing them to dance between normal space and higher dimensions. Each ship became a blur of motion, appearing and disappearing faster than the Rith targeting systems could track. All ships, weapons free, Captain Min Ki commanded. Disable their engines first. Let's give them one last chance to survive this. Quantum torpedoes launched from the human vessels, their exotic matter cores glowing with impossible energy. The weapons passed through the Rith ship's shields as if they weren't there, the advanced projectiles existing in multiple quantum states simultaneously. Where they struck, Rith engines simply ceased functioning, the quantum weaponry removing key components from normal spacetime. First wave impact in 3 seconds. Tactical Officer Sun Mai reported calmly. 800 Rith ships disabled. 900. 1,000. Admiral Daho's frantic orders echoed across the command channel as his fleet tried desperately to respond. Evasive maneuvers. Concentrate fire on their flagship. Launch all fighters. But the Rith ships moved like lumbering beasts compared to the human vessels. Their fighters, hundreds of small craft pouring from launch bays, were picked off by automated point defense systems before they could cross half the distance. The AI targeting computers operated at speeds no organic pilot could match, calculating trajectories and firing solutions in microseconds. Sir, Sun Mai announced, enemy fighters eliminated. 1,500 Rith capital ships now disabled. No casualties on their side. Quantum weapons successfully targeting only engine and weapon systems. Min Ki nodded in approval. The human fleet had no desire for wholesale slaughter. Their weapons could have easily vaporized the entire Rith fleet, but that wasn't their purpose here. This was to be a lesson, not a massacre. In her bunker below, General Jai Yun watched in awe as her sensors showed Rith ships going dark by the hundreds. The mysterious human fleet moved with impossible grace, their weapons bypassing the strongest Rith defenses as if they were made of smoke. 2 minutes since engagement began, He Newell reported from her station. 1,800 Rith ships disabled. Their formation is breaking apart. On the Rith flagship, panic had replaced arrogance. Admiral Daho watched helplessly as his mighty fleet was systematically dismantled by an enemy he couldn't even hit. Their most powerful weapons dissipated harmlessly against the human ship's quantum shields, while their own shields might as well have been non-existent. 2,000 ships disabled, Sun Mai updated. The remaining vessels are attempting to retreat, but their FTL drives are too slow to escape. Min Ki opened a channel to the remaining Rith ships. This is your final chance. Power down your weapons and engines, or we will disable them for you. You have 10 seconds to comply. Fear had replaced the mockery in Daho's voice as he responded. This is impossible. What are you? We are humanity. Min-Ki replied simply. "And we protect our friends. Your 10 seconds begin now." The countdown lasted only 3 seconds before the remaining Wraith ships began powering down their systems. One by one, their weapon signatures winked out as they surrendered unconditionally. 3 minutes and 42 seconds from first weapons release to total victory, Haynul announced, unable to keep a note of pride from her voice. The human fleet took up positions around the surrendered Wraith ships, their quantum weapons still primed but no longer targeting. In just under 4 minutes, they had accomplished what no other species had managed in a decade. They had completely defeated the mighty Wraith Empire's fleet. Signal from the surface. Communications reported. "General Jai-Yun is requesting to speak with you, Captain." Min-Ki straightened his uniform. "Put her through." The Asteri General's hologram appeared on the bridge, her silver skin marked with exhaustion, but her eyes bright with hope. "Captain Min-Ki, I don't know how to thank you. You've saved our entire civilization." "No thanks are necessary, General," Min-Ki replied warmly. "The Asteri have been friends to humanity. We protect our friends." As cleanup operations began, with human ships beginning to tow disabled Wraith vessels to containment areas, Min-Ki allowed himself a small smile. The galaxy had just witnessed humanity's true power, not through boasting or threats, but through decisive action. "Send word to Earth," he ordered. "Operation complete. The Asteri are safe, and the Wraith Empire has learned why it's better to have humanity as a friend than an enemy." The battle, if it could even be called that, was over. In less than 4 minutes, 25 human ships had defeated 3,000 Wraith vessels without causing a single death. It would go down in history as the day the galaxy learned that counting ships was meaningless when facing an enemy who had mastered quantum warfare. Admiral Daho's final transmission summed up the feelings of every witness to the battle. "What manner of beings are you?" The answer was simple. They were human, and they had just changed the galaxy forever. Sunlight streamed through the broken clouds above New Haven for the first time in weeks. The orbital debris from the battle was already being cleared by human maintenance drones, their quantum technology making quick work of the wreckage. General Jai-Yun stood at the entrance of the command bunker, tears flowing freely down her silver skin as she watched her people emerge into the daylight. The destruction wrought by the Wraith bombardment was evident everywhere. Shattered buildings, cratered streets, and broken infrastructure. But amid the ruins, hope bloomed. Human medical ships had already landed, their advanced facilities complementing Asteri medical technology to treat the wounded. Captain Min-Ki and Admiral Tadwan walked through the devastated city, their uniforms pristine as they made their way to the Asteri Government Center. The surviving civilian leadership had gathered there, emerging from their underground shelters to meet the people who had saved their civilization. "It's hard to believe," Jai-Yun said softly as she walked beside them. 3 weeks of terror ended in less than 4 minutes. Min-Ki nodded solemnly. "We only wish we had received your distress signal sooner. The quantum relays we're installing now will ensure that never happens again." In the makeshift conference room, once a beautiful crystal chamber now partially rebuilt by human engineering teams, the formal meetings began. Admiral Tadwan's hologram flickered as he addressed the gathered Asteri leaders. "Humanity extends its hand in friendship," he declared. "From this day forward, the Asteri people are under Earth's protection. Any aggression against your world will be considered an attack on humanity itself." The Asteri High Council, their silver skin reflecting the emergency lighting, listened intently as Tadwan outlined the protection agreement. Human quantum defense platforms would be installed in orbit. A permanent Earth fleet presence would be established. Most importantly, the Asteri would retain their complete independence. "We do not seek to rule," Min-Ki explained, "only to protect. Your scientific and medical achievements have helped save countless human lives. Consider this our repayment of that debt." Outside, the first Wraith ships were beginning their long journey home. Their engines had been partially repaired, enough for FTL travel, but not combat. Each carried data recordings of the battle, clear evidence of humanity's overwhelming technological superiority. They will spread the word, Taiwan noted. The galaxy will know that peaceful civilizations now have a defender. In the days that followed, more human ships arrived. Engineering crews helped rebuild the damaged cities, their quantum technology accelerating construction beyond anything the Asteri had seen. Medical teams worked alongside Asteri doctors, combining their knowledge to heal the wounded. A month after the battle, the first permanent Earth fleet station appeared in orbit. Its quantum shields extended a protective umbrella over the entire planet, while its sensors watched for any sign of hostile activity. "Tell me," Jia-Yun asked Min-Ki as they watched the station's construction, "why did humanity hide its true capabilities for so long?" Min-Ki smiled. "We learned during our own war of survival that appearing weak while being strong is far more effective than appearing strong while being weak. The Rith Empire never saw us as a threat. Until today." News of the Battle of New Haven spread across the galaxy like wildfire. 3,000 ships defeated in 4 minutes, without a single death. The message was clear. Humanity had emerged as a force for peace through overwhelming strength. The Rith Empire's expansion stopped overnight. Other aggressive species reconsidered their conquests. Peaceful civilizations began reaching out to Earth, seeking friendship and protection. A new era of galactic politics had begun. 1 year after the battle, the Asteri capital city had been fully rebuilt. Crystal spires once again reached toward the stars, but now they were protected by humanity's invisible quantum shields. In the city's central plaza, a monument was erected, a simple hologram showing 25 human ships facing down 3,000 attackers. "The Battle of New Haven will be remembered," Jia-Yun said during the monument's dedication, "not just for the victory, but for what it represented. The day the galaxy learned that peace had found its guardian." The legend grew with each retelling. In space stations and on distant worlds, people whispered about the humans, a species that had mastered quantum warfare, who could defeat entire fleets in minutes, yet chose to use their power only in defense of peace. As Captain Min-Ki prepared to depart New Haven, taking command of the new Earth Fleet Station, he reflected on how much had changed. Humanity had finally revealed its true strength, not through conquest or domination, but by protecting those who couldn't protect themselves. The message was simple, carried across the stars by the defeated Rith ships. Humanity had arrived, and the age of unopposed aggression was over. The weak would be protected, the peaceful defended, and any who dared threaten them would learn why humanity had survived its own trial by fire. A new chapter in galactic history had begun, written not in blood, but in the promise of peace protected by quantum fire.